Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, honey. Hey, boo.
Hey,
What's going
how's
on?
everyone doing?
I was speaking to you. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Pillow Talk Lounge with the Greenes. I'm Cynthia Greene, and this is my wonderful, amazing husband, James Greene. And as you can see, we're in two different places today, okay? I'm in North Carolina. He's in Maryland. So we're going to do this thing regardless to where we are because we are committed to you. We are committed to marriages. We are committed to making a difference in the world today. So good morning, babe. What you got to
Good
say to the
morning. Good
folks?
morning. How you doing, honey?
I'm good.
Yes, and we just want to welcome you to the broadcast, Pillow Talk Lounge. And, Cynthia and I, when we talk about Pillow Talk, we talk about things that we talk about when, say, we're laying in the bed, pillow talk. So today the other day or last week or so, we were discussing about being married a longer period of time. Does it matter? And does it matter if you're married 5 years or 25 years? Is there a difference? Does it really matter? So we kind of took a stance, and it was a different stance. And go ahead, baby. You tell them what you think, and then I'll tell them what I think.
So first, I want to tell you guys to make sure you hit the share button, share this broadcast out. Y'all, this top is going to be hot. It's going to be on and popping. And we want to know your opinion. So before we get into it, let us know. Do you think it matters if somebody's been married 5 years or 25 years? And we're going to talk about if it matters, why it matters, how it matters. Yeah, we're going to share some things about that. And so we want to know your opinion. Let us know. Does it matter? Yeah. So we're going to talk today. So James and I, like he said, we had a conversation about if you've been married a long time, does it make a difference in the marriage? Does that mean you have a great marriage? Does that mean, you figured it out? Does that mean all is amazing? What does it mean to you, honey? What does it mean to you?
Does it mean that just because you've been married 25 years, you have a better marriage than a couple that's been married 5 years?
Right. So let us know what y'all think, and then we're going to share with you what we think. So, babe, what you think?
You know me, what we talked about when we were having pillow talk, just you and I don't think it matters.
Oh, you don't?
No.
Okay. Why not?
Because when you look at it, babe, you look at it, just because you're married 25 years doesn't mean your marriage is greater than a couple that's been married 5 years. Why? Maybe you just stayed together because of the children. Maybe you stayed together because of convenience. Maybe you stayed together because of all the benefits that marriage gives you, whether it's financial, whether it's convenience, whether it's companionship. That doesn't mean you're in love or you have a great marriage. You could be married 25 years and sleeping in different bedrooms. That doesn't mean your marriage is better than a couple that's been married 5 years.
But aren't those good reasons to stay together? Isn't staying together because of the kids a good reason to not run and get out of the marriage? The benefits of marriage, we talk about that all the time. Aren't the benefits of marriage a good reason to stay together? I mean, like, come on now.
And that could be a good reason or a fine reason or something that the couple discussed, but that doesn't mean their marriage is better than a couple that's been married 1 year, even 5 years. Think about it for a minute. I take our marriage into consideration. We got married maybe a little later in life, and we've been married going on 15 years. But do I think a couple that's been married 25, 30 years is better than ours? I would say no. Only because if you look at couples that laid the foundation, that did the work to make sure their marriage is great, just because they're married 1 year or 5 years, that doesn't mean a couple that's been married 25 years who started out struggling, who didn't lay the foundation, marriage is greater than a couple that's been married 5 years.
So why not?
Because maybe they didn't do the work. Just because they've been through something.
Oh, that's the key. That's a key.
When you think of a couple that say been married 20 years, 25 years, 30 years, you may think the first 10 years, maybe they really weren't together. Maybe they struggled. Maybe just the last 5 years have been great. So if the last 5 years have been great, and the 20 years has been horrible, they really only had a great marriage for 5 years. So that doesn't mean a couple that's been married 5 years has, say, a worse marriage than a couple that's been married 25 years, where 20 of those years weren't great.
But I think that's a good thing. If you were married 20 years and things weren't all that great, you were just married, just keep, let's just be honest. Most couples, when they get married and once they have kids, the marriage is focused on the kids, right? So you're married and everything's around, the kids' appointments and school and homework and feeding the kids and bathing the kids and taking care of the kids and running the kids here and there, teaching them how to drive and all of these things, right? So your whole life is raced around the kids. So then 20 years later, everybody's turned 18, everybody's out of the house. And so you realize, life is not that fun. Like you don't have anything in common with your wife. There's, nothing important going on in your life. And then the marriage seems like it's falling apart. But you just said, so for the past 5 years, they've done some work, turned their marriage around, and now they got a great marriage. So me personally, I think that if you took the time to get your marriage right, even if it took you 20 years and now you got a great marriage, then you are doing great. You had a great marriage all along because you were focused on your kids. You should have stayed focused on your marriage too. But at least you hung in there. You hung in there. I'm all for people hanging in there with marriage. Don't be quick to run out.
All you did was prove my point with what you just said.
What was that?
They were together. They had nothing in common. They were only together for the first 20 years for the kids. So then when all the kids are grown and they're empty nesters, they don't have nothing to talk about. They find out they really don't have nothing in common. So that shows that the marriage wasn't that great for those first 20 years until they did the work. Now it's been great for the last 5 years. So when you look at it, does it matter? No, because they only had a good marriage for 5 years. And if you look at another couple that's been married 10 years and they may have had a great marriage all 10 years, that doesn't mean that the couple that's been married 25 years has a greater marriage than the couple that's been married 10 years, because they just got their marriage together in the last 5 years doing the work. They never did it from the beginning. So all you did was prove my point. For example, you can look at a couple, like you said, that stayed together, that did all with the kids. They were together for the kids. Now, after the kids are gone and they're empty nesters, they realize they don't talk. They realize they have nothing to talk about. They realize they may not have nothing in common. They may realize all they did for them first 20 years was focus on the kids and not on each other. No date nights, no going out, no communication, no pillow talk. They really did nothing. Now they're doing the work for 5 years. And I guarantee you, I feel a couple like that, who's only been doing the work for 5 years, and we've been married less than them, I feel our marriage could be greater than theirs because we did the work from day one. And we've been having a great marriage for going on 15 years, and they've been having a great marriage for only 5 years, even though they've been married longer. So I'm here to say that I don't think it matters how long you've been married. To me, if you do the work in the beginning, if you lay that foundation, you can have a great marriage from day one. So whenever you decide to lay that foundation, whenever you decide to put that work in, whenever you decide that it's the two of you coming into agreement to make sure the marriage works, that's where the marriage starts. If it starts at year 10 or starts at year 20, that's, to me, year one of laying that foundation to making your marriage work. So that doesn't say that a couple that's been married 25 years has a better marriage than a couple that's been married 5 years. If the couple 5 years put the work in from day one, and a couple 25 years put the work in from day 20. They married 20 years.
Well, you know what? I'm going to disagree with you a little bit because I wouldn't say somebody has a terrible marriage because for 20 years they focused on the kids.
No, wait. I'm not saying a terrible marriage. We're debating is a couple that's been married 25 years has a better marriage than a couple that's been married less than that.
Well, so okay, so I'm still making my point though. So they've been married 20 years and they basically focused on the kids. But guess what? They held the household together. They took care of the kids. They raised the kids. The kids are doing well. And so they survived. They were still in the same house. They still was working together. They still was making it happen. A lot of people don't know all the elements that really should go into a marriage because nobody ever taught them. So they do focus on the kids. They do raise the, have a marriage as if the kids is the most important thing that's
But
going on.
don't we teach couples that even though you're focusing on the kids, make sure you make time for each other, make sure you
Absolutely.
have a date night, make sure
Absolutely.
you communicate.
You're missing my point, though. I'm saying most couples, most people don't know that that's what they should be doing, that they should still be going on dates. They should still be focusing on each other. A lot of couples that are married don't even know that their spouse comes first before the kids. Like, did y'all know
Right.
that? Like, did y'all, those of you who are listening today, did y'all know that your spouse comes before your kids? Like, I've had people tell me that's not true. That's not true. No, my kids come first. No, your spouse comes first no matter what. And I'm going to tell you why. So, for instance, you got small kids. They're hungry. They need to eat. Sure, they need to eat. Feed your kids. But if your husband's calling your name and he's saying, he's telling you to come here, and your kids are hungry, who are you going to go to first? Well, you're going to feed your kids first, but you're going to also go find out what your husband needs, what they want, what's going on. And if you are feeding your kids foods that they disagree with, foods that they don't think they should have, this is how your spouse comes first. You should be listening to what your spouse has to say, and then y'all have to come into agreement on the best foods to feed your kid. It's as simple as that. Listen to your spouse is putting them first. Getting your spouse's opinion on how to do something, even if it's just feeding the kids, helping the kids with their homework, that's putting your spouse first. But when you discount your spouse's opinion, like, I don't care, I'm going to give my kids whatever they want. I spend all the money I want on them. I do. Them kids can go to bed whenever they want to. I'm not giving them no bedtime. Then you are putting your kids before your spouse because you're discounting their thoughts, their opinions, their feelings.
So if you've been discounting your spouse for 15, 20 years, and then you realize that they are a priority, then you realize that we have to talk. You just started doing that. After 20 years of discounting them, that means you may not have had a great marriage for 20 years, and you just realized what you need to do, putting in that work, as you're saying. That means that's when your marriage starts being better, starts being greater from that day forward, which could be 20 years. But if you look at a couple that's been knowing about that, that's been doing those type of things from day one, and they only been married 5 years, 10 years, they had a great marriage, say, for 10 years. So if they had a great marriage doing this, everything you just talked about for 10 years, we've been doing it for 15 years. And you tell me you still feel like you're on your honeymoon after 15 years. So we've had a great marriage for 15 years. So if you look at a couple that's been married 25 years, but 20 of them, he's been putting the kids first. He's been discounting her. He's been not coming into agreement with her. Then they realize, oh, this is what we need to do. Let's start now. So now they only had a great marriage for 5 years when you and I may have had a great marriage for 15 years, even though they have been married longer. That's why I'm asking everybody out there. This is pillow talk that we're talking about. So let me ask you, what do you think? What do you feel? Do you feel just because a couple's been married 25, 30 years, they have a better marriage than a couple that's been married 5 or 10 years? I would say no, because when does a great marriage start? A great marriage starts when you put in that work, when you start from day one communicating, treating your spouse as a priority, having a date night, doing the things that matter, coming into agreement. When you realize that and you start doing those things, that's when your marriage takes off. That's when it goes from one level to the next level. So if you waited for 15, 20 years to do that, then started doing that, that's where your marriage takes off. But if you have a couple that's been doing that from the very beginning, from the marriage inception, they've been having a great marriage the whole time. We're not saying that trials and tribulations won't come up. We're not saying you may be going through some things. But if you laid that foundation that I talked about, you put all that work in from day one, it's easier to overcome than a couple that's been married 25 years, never put in that work. So when trials and tribulations come, they have a hard time adjusting. They have a hard time dealing with it. They have a hard time of coming to some conflict resolution because they didn't put in the work. But a couple that's put in the work, they always seem to have a greater marriage. That's why it's important that you have premarital counseling, because premarital counseling helps you to lay that foundation, helps you to put in that work, lays that map that you can map out. Here's the things you need to do to have a great marriage, to have a marriage that's truly built to last, by putting in that work, by doing things from day one.
But you know what? You say a mouthful. Come on, let's be realistic. How many people really put in work, as you call it, in their marriage when they first get married? I mean, most people, when they're dating and then they get engaged and they decided they're going to get married, all they focus on is the wedding, the wedding, the wedding, the wedding, the wedding. Planning that wedding, planning that honeymoon, maybe planning where they're going to live, or some people don't even really have a discussion about where they're going to live, how they're going to, combine all their stuff. They don't even really have that conversation. But honestly, most couples do not put in work before they get married, and they don't put it in right away when they get married. Some of them go looking for help when marriage gets in trouble, but some couples don't even do that. They just figure it out.
And I may want to disagree with that, because nowadays people want to get married and people want a long-lasting marriage, especially couples that are going maybe into their second marriage. They want to make sure they get it right now. That's why you see a lot of single people going to marriage events, going to marriage conferences. They do that because they want to make sure this next time will be the last time. Getting married, that's going to be forever. And they want to make it work. So a lot of people now are starting to put in that work now. Like I said, going to marriage conferences, talking to people. How do you have a long-lasting marriage? What did you do to make your marriage last? How is it that where I can lay that foundation? People are doing that a little bit more now, because they truly want a marriage that's built to last. They truly want a long-lasting marriage. That's why more people are putting in more work now. More people are trying to find out, even single people. Maybe you even know, we talk to a lot of people who want to get married. So for them wanting to get married, what do we ask them? Okay, so if you want to get married, what are you doing to prepare yourself for that marriage? And is the person that you want to marry, once you start dating them and you talk to them, what are they doing to prepare themselves for marriage? Remember, that's all this talks about, preparation. What are you doing to make sure you have a marriage that's built to last? What are you doing that's make a marriage that will last the rest of your life? What are you doing when you get married and some trials and tribulations may come? Are you learning how to handle that before you get married? Or that things you're talking about with the person you're dating? More people, I feel, are now starting to do that so they can have that long-lasting marriage that we're talking about. They won't be married for 10 years, 20 years, and have it rough, and then finally realize the light goes off on year 21, and they know what they got to do now. So now the last 5 years have been great. So when you go someplace and they say, how many of you been married 25 years? And they stand up all happy like, that's us. We've been married 25, we've been married 30 years, and we are in heavenly bliss. We are happy. But you may not know the backstory of them, where that heavenly bliss may have only been for 5 years, and the first 20 of it was rough.
Okay, so does the longevity of that not being in marital bliss make a difference if you finally get it right? I mean,
no, it doesn't make a difference. That's why when you were saying, if you're married 25 years, is that better than a couple that's married 5 years? No, because they finally got it right. It's just that they've been together for that long. That doesn't mean they're in heavenly bliss that long.
No, but we're not talking
about. So you can have
listen
to me. You can have a couple that's been married 25 years and a couple that's been married 5 years, and they've both been in heavenly bliss for 5 years. So it's actually equal.
Well, so we're not talking about happily bliss though. What I'm talking about is you got a couple that's been married 25 years. You
said does it make a difference if you're married 25 years and if you're married 5 years?
Right,
no, it doesn't.
But not just about happily bliss though. If you've been married 25 years and you've got an okay marriage, you're not struggling, you're not talking about breaking up, and you're just married. I mean, is that a bad thing? I mean, yes.
I didn't say it was a bad thing. Let me ask you a question. We've been married going on 15 years. How do you feel?
About what? About the marriage?
About our marriage.
Oh, come on now. Everybody knows how I feel.
So would you say if you met a couple that's been married 30 years, but 25 of them, they weren't on the same page?
Wait, we
They
know
weren't
people
coming to
married 30
agreement?
years and they ain't on the same page.
Huh?
We know
No,
people.
listen, you're
We've
missing
talked
what
to
I'm
couples.
saying. All right.
Okay,
A
go
couple
ahead.
married 25 years.
Okay.
But 20 years, they really weren't together. They weren't on the same page. They were just living together until their children get out the house. Once the children got out the house, they found they had nothing in common. Then they started doing the things. Then they started communicating. Then they started going on date nights. So they're having their marriage has only been great. I mean, truly great for the last 5 years compared to us. Our marriage has been great since day one.
Okay, what's your point?
It doesn't matter that they've been together 25 years and you and I only been together 15 years. That's what the whole issue was that we first started talking about when we came on the broadcast. Is their marriage better than ours? I would say not necessarily, because they only been happy, truly happy for 5 years, and we've been truly happy for 15 years.
So only you would go to is the marriage better? Because that was never my thought, my point.
But that was what you asked me from. That's what we talked about. Pillow talk. Is a couple that's been married 25 years have a better marriage than a couple that's been married 5 years?
I don't know if I said a better marriage. I said,
what did you say?
Difference?
What did you say when you opened this show and we talked about what you and I talked about in Pillow Talk? What did we say? Does a couple that's been married 25 years what compared to a couple that's been married 5 years?
Does it make
a better marriage, a greater marriage, happier?
Does it mean something positive? Does it mean something different? Does it mean
you didn't say that? Better? You didn't say that.
I think I said something similar, but I might have said that. But I
does it matter?
Yeah,
does it matter?
But I don't.
It doesn't matter. You said it does. I say it doesn't.
I think it matters because you hung in there. You stuck it out. So many people get divorced at the 3-year mark, the 5-year mark. You haven't even really gotten a chance to get to know one another. You
right.
haven't
had
a chance to get to connect. You don't even know. You didn't even take the time to go figure out how to work out your issues. You didn't take the time to work out your own.
So if they didn't do all that. If they didn't do all that for the first 10 years and then they started to, then that means if they've been married 15 years and they didn't do everything you said until the 10-year mark, so that means they've only been truly happy for 5 years. They just been together, living together for convenience or concentrating on the kids. I'm talking about their relationship has only been good for 5 years compared to a couple that's been doing all that for the past 10 years, and they had a 10-year of great marriage.
So Camille Williams says it does matter, but the length of time doesn't determine quality.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Good comment, Camille. Just because the length of time is longer, that doesn't mean they had a quality marriage for 25 years. They made it, see, and she put it as quality, and I put it as happily. That's the same thing. So that quality of marriage may have been only 5 years great, and 20 years it wasn't great quality compared to a married couple that's been married 10 years and all 10 years has been quality.
Okay, so then quality.
Then I'm saying I'm right.
I still think quality happy is all relative, because if you've been married 20 years and you're like, I'm good, our marriage is okay, they are comfortable with living in the same house, doing their own thing, but they come together, they go out to, concerts, and
then what's the quality of their marriage?
They're together.
And that's all. They're together. But when you talk about being together, there's a lot of couples that are together that may do things every now and then together, but that doesn't mean that their marriage is high quality. That doesn't mean they're in like heavenly bliss, so to speak. Every marriage is not going to be
high quality, James. Every marriage is not going to be high quality.
Right. So when we talk about does it matter, length of time does not matter in a marriage compared to, say, happiness, how happy they are in the marriage.
No, it doesn't.
We've met couples that have been together 7, 8, 9, 10 years, and they haven't been happy since day one.
That's true.
But when they came to us and they start putting in the work, now they're getting happier. Now they're beginning to develop what it means to truly have a happy marriage.
So in order to have a happy marriage, couples need to put in the work.
Correct.
Okay.
They need to understand what it truly takes to have a marriage that's built to last.
From day one. So what if from day one they don't put in the work and they're living together? Okay, so we see couples sometimes and they're out at the restaurant, they're having dinner. So technically that's a date.
Okay, and we see. Go ahead.
And so it's a date night. They're out, they're having dinner, they're talking, they seem okay. But if you really get into a conversation with them, they're struggling in their marriage. They're having a rough time. They're having a lot of disagreements. They're arguing, but they're out to dinner. They're still together. They're working it out. They're hanging in there. So the same thing with somebody who's been married 20 years. They're going out to dinner. They're going to family events. They go on a trip every year, but they're arguing a lot. They may not have a quality of life like what you're talking about, but they're married. They're doing married things. They're together. They're not breaking up. I think that they're to be commended that they're hanging in there.
Okay, they're commended that they're hanging in there. But what we said in the very beginning, just because they've been together 25 years, does it matter that they're together 25 years compared to a couple that's been married 5 years? No, because you said they're commended. Yes, they stayed together, but they didn't realize what to do until year 21 compared to a couple that's together 5 years, and they realized what they had to do from day one.
Yeah, Camille said they probably don't realize the marriage could be better. She's so right. Some people are married and they're okay with how their marriage is going. They're okay that they have dinner together most days. They're okay that, every now and then they go out to dinner. They're okay that, they get together with, their sisters and brothers or, family. They have a cookout once a year. But, when they're home, they're just sitting around watching TV. They don't laugh. They don't talk. They're not really connected.
And they may not realize what it takes to bring the two of them closer together.
And some people don't really care. They just glad they're married.
And that's the thing. That's the thing. The ones that don't care, are they better off just living life like that, or a couple that really cares and that wants to get it right once they realize, okay, this is what we have to do?
Camille just made a good point. She said, but Cynthia, that's like going to church for 25 years but not having a relationship with God. Exactly. That is true. That's very, very true. But
right. So which one matters more? Oh, well, wait, we're getting back to our beginning now. Camille sounds like she's on my side. So if you've been going to church for 25 years and you don't have a relationship with God compared to a person that's been going to church 5 years and have a godly relationship, a relationship with God, which one matters more? The person in 5 years that has a relationship with God compared to the person that's been going to church for 25 years and doesn't have a relationship with God. She proved my point right there. Good analogy, Camille.
But I understand that. Now, there's a lot of people been in church their whole entire life. And she's right. They do not have a relationship with God. They just go to church. There's a lot of people like that. I mean, like a lot. But that's why
premarital counseling is important, to have God in the middle of your relationship so you can realize what it truly takes to have a godly marriage. We always say you have to develop your own relationship with God before you can develop the relationship with your spouse, especially a Christ-like relationship.
Next month is National Couple Appreciation Month and National Romance Month, right? And we're going to get some couples on here because I wanted some couples on here today, but some things fell through. So there's a couple that reached out to me. They've been married 51 years and they have a great marriage.
From when? From day one?
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. That's why I want to bring them on the show. When did you start having a great marriage? Has it always been that way? Has it always been okay? Have you had ups and downs? And does that make a difference? If you're married 51 years and you've had ups and downs the whole time, but you still consider yourself a happy marriage, or have a great marriage, I mean, we all going to have up and downs. And if we work through it, then hey, then you've had a great marriage for 51 years.
So let me ask you a question. So if everyone's going to have ups and downs in their marriage, right?
Yes.
So a couple that's put in the work from day one, laid the foundation, understood what it takes to have a good marriage. Is it easier for them to go through them trials and tribulations, that conflict, than it is for a person for a couple that's never put in that work?
Say that again now. Okay. For somebody who's put in the work, is it easier?
For them to overcome.
Let me say this. I think if a couple's been married 20 years, they're more apt to work it out and move on than a couple who's been married 2 or 3 years or 5 years.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. So if that couple has been married 20 years, it's easier for them to move on and work through it than it is a couple that's just started. But how about a couple that did all the premarital work, all the things, laying the foundation? You don't think it's easier for them to go through it either? Since they talked through some things when they were going maybe through marriage counseling?
You're right. If they put in the work. But the reason why couples are
So you're saying a couple that's been married 20 years, it's easier for them to go through some trials and tribulations just because they've been together 20 years than a couple that's put in the work, that's laid the foundation for them to go through it?
I think sometimes it is, but let me give a shout out to a few people who reached out to us who've been married over 25 years. Pernell and Claudia Tynes, they've been married 51 years and they want to come on the show. So we're going to get them on the show in the month of April. Melvin and Anita Thompson. Oh my gosh, I don't have the amount of years, but they've been married over 25 years. So we're going to have them on the show at some time too. And Tony and Nicole Davis, they've been married over 30 years. All of these couples say they have great marriages, amazing marriages. I really want to know, have they had it since day one? Did it take them 5 years, 10 years, 20 years to get it right?
Right. And I want to know.
They hung in there. They found
I want to know if all them years, if it wasn't from day one, when did the light bulb go off? When did they realize that we had to do the work? When did they realize that, okay, we have to make some changes and we can't go on like this? You're right. It may be from day one, those 30 years, 40 years, whatever. Then again, it may be from year 15, year 20. I would like to know that.
Well, but so then my point would be, let's just say over the years, they just stumbled and bumbled and worked it out sometimes, and evidently eventually worked it out every time, and they stayed married. They hung in there. Whether we consider that a great quality of life, a happy marriage, or whatever, they hung in there. They worked it out. They're still together and they're happy. So it doesn't matter if they were happy the whole time. Nobody's truly happy the whole time. I mean, just because I am don't mean everybody has to be, James. But no, seriously, I really commend couples who have been married for 25 years and you're happy in your marriage. You feel like you have a good quality of life, a good quality marriage.
And I commend them. You're right. Like, and I commend them because even if it wasn't from day one, at least they realized that what they had to do so they could get to that point, no matter when it was.
So now you're making my point, because my thing
No, I'm not. Which one matters? Just because you're together 20 years, 25, 30 years, it doesn't matter compared to a couple that's been married 5 years.
Okay, I got
what matters is, when did you decide to put in the work? When did you decide what you had to do to have a happy marriage? When did you decide to lay that foundation? If you decided from day one.
So let me throw this at you. Doesn't it really only matter that they stay married to eternity, like the word says, like God tells us to? God doesn't say in the Bible that we have to have a happy marriage. He doesn't even say we have to have a quality of marriage. He's commanded us to stay married until eternity. He told us we would have trials and tribulations. He told us we would go through some tough times, but he said he would be there with us through it all. So if you stayed with your spouse through it all, no matter whether you had the greatest marriage or not, you did what God told you to do. And so we can take that back to the church. If you're going to church every Sunday and you might not know how to have a relationship with God, but you know that you love him, you know that you're trying to live right, you're praying. What is a relationship with God? A relationship with God is praying. So if you're praying every day and maybe reading your word, then you got a relationship with God. Now, some people do just go to church and they never open up the Bible, but some people learn by hearing. So they're hearing what the pastor says. They're getting them scriptures in their spirit. So hopefully they're getting it in their heart and it's helping them to be a better person. So there's a lot of people that have been in a marriage for 25 or more years, haven't done anything spectacular, anything so great, but they love their spouse, they love God, and they're in that marriage to eternity no matter what.
That's and then you have the ones who love God, who love each other, but it doesn't seem to work. They don't get any help, and they rather go their separate ways. That doesn't mean they stop loving each other. They just couldn't overcome those trials and those tribulations that they may be going through.
And that's true, but we're not talking about that this morning. We're not talking about the ones.
Well, no, we were talking about, does it matter? Let's get back to the original subject that you opened up with. Does it matter? No, it does not.
It does. I think God is pleased. He's happy that they're together. Would he like to see them maybe have a better marriage?
Okay. How about a couple? How about a couple that's been married before, and this is their second marriage, and they got it right, but their first marriage, they didn't get it right? Come on.
What's that got to do with our topic?
You saying the years, does it matter? Let's go back to what you opened up with, baby. You opened up with, does it matter if you've been together 25 years compared to a couple that's been together 5 years? I said, no, it doesn't matter. You said, yes, it matters.
It does.
It does not.
It does, because you hung in there, and we don't
just
know.
Because you hung in there, that doesn't mean it matters.
Yes, it does, because guess what? God can turn something around at the flip of a switch. So you may have been struggling your marriage.
But then you got people that won't let them turn it around.
I'm talking about a couple.
All right, let me ask you a question. Mm-hmm. You said, does it matter? Okay. Say a couple's been married. A couple's been married 25 years.
Okay.
The switch never flipped. They never let God enter their marriage. So now they decided to maybe go their separate ways after 25 years. Then you have a couple that's been married 20 years. After year 10, the flip switched. They let God enter their marriage. They did the work. Now they've been married from year 10 to year 20. They've been married happily for 20 years compared to the couple that's been married for 25 years. And they decide, you know what, I can't do this anymore. So see right there, longevity does not matter whether you've been together 20 years or 25 years. Look at how it could end. The couple that put in the work, the couple that flipped the switch are still together when a couple of 25 years, they're going their separate ways.
We're not on the same page, because I don't care about those who gave up and quit. I am talking about those who didn't give up and quit, and they're still together.
No, you were talking about wait. You were talking about the very beginning. What we talked about, you and I, pillow talk. Does it matter if you've been together 25 years compared to a couple that's been together 5 years? That was the question. Does it matter?
Yes.
Does it matter? We done added a whole lot of variables into it.
James.
We done added the foundation, putting the work in. We done added premarital counseling. We done added God into it. We done added a lot of variables into the marriage. But the original question was, does it matter if you've been together 25 years compared to a couple that's been together 5 years? You said yes. I said no. You put all them variables in it. If you put them variables in it from day one, then maybe it does matter. Because now you got a couple that's been happy for 25 years and a couple that's been happy 5 years because both of them did the work. Both of them has God in their marriage and both of them are doing what it takes. Then that matters? Yes. But it doesn't matter if everybody, because everybody is not equal. Everybody doesn't put in the work. So if that's a variable that's entered into it, then it doesn't matter, the longevity of it.
So,
because you added variables.
No, we both added variables because you're the one that started talking about the happy, and it was never about them being happy.
Well, okay.
So for me, listen, Linda James. So no, this is my point. If you've been married 40 years, 50 years, and you are with your spouse and you are committed to the end until one of y'all pass away, both of y'all pass away, you are committed until eternity. It matters that you hung in there. You did what God said do.
But how do you know?
You didn't walk away. Because
how do you know?
You worked through some things through those years and you stayed together.
All right.
It ain't been perfect all along.
So let's say this. How do you know a couple that's been together 5 years, 10 years won't do the exact same thing?
I don't. But I'm just saying.
So the longevity of it, 25 years to 5 or 10 years, it doesn't matter because you don't know what that 5-year couple is going to do. They may do the exact same thing the 25-year couple did. So then it really doesn't matter. So like I said.
So okay. my thing is then I'm giving kudos to people who've been married over 25 years.
Let's do this.
I'm telling them to hang in there because things can turn around. Things will turn around if you do all the things that James Greene has been talking about. Put in the work. Know what it takes to have a quality marriage. Know what it takes to have a happy marriage. Know what it takes to stay together forever. Know what it takes to have God in the center of your marriage. Know what it takes to be together until eternity. Have a happy marriage. Yes, that's important. But staying married is important too. It's not about the happiness. It's not about necessarily quality. Yes, we would all like to have a quality marriage.
Wait.
What? Some people
you're
are happy just having a companion. They got married.
You're telling me that now you're saying happiness now doesn't matter?
Not necessarily. It's not about your happiness. It's not about your happiness. It's about.
Come on, don't get me started on that. Yes, it is. You get married to be happy.
No, you don't.
You think you get married? Do you get married to be miserable?
No.
You get married to break up?
No, I'm not saying that.
So don't tell me happiness doesn't matter.
I'm not saying that, but some people don't. Okay.
You just said the happiness doesn't matter if you decide to stay together. Oh, yes, it does. Why do people get divorced? Why do people break up? Because they're not happy.
But
you James, get married to be happy.
You know,
if you put in the work, maybe you'll stay happy. But if you don't, there's a chance you won't be happy.
But
and the minute you're not happy, that's the minute people want to walk away. So don't tell me happiness doesn't matter.
But James, let's just think about this though.
Let me tell you something.
Oh my God.
Like I always say, you live life one time. Passionate. You're in this heavenly body one time. And you want to be in this heavenly body, you want to be happy. You live life one time and you want to be happy. So if certain things don't make you happy, you need to change them around to make you happy. You know what? Let's be honest. Let me be transparent here. In my first marriage, I told her, you live life once. You need to be happy. If I don't make you happy, then you need to change that because you only live once and you live to be happy. You know what she did? You're right. And she left because she wasn't happy. And I understand that.
This is new.
I understand that. And I understand that. Why? Because you live to be happy. And if you have God will give you that happiness. God will give you that joy. A person doesn't give it to you. They may help out, but they don't give you that ultimate joy.
So
come on. So I told her, if I don't make you happy, leave. She left. Fine. I'll get over it. I will heal. I got God on my side. And as I move on, I will make sure when I move on, I will be happy in my life. Right now, I'm happy as I ever could be.
So James, you're telling me if
So don't tell me it doesn't matter if you're not happy.
Can I talk? So you're telling me if somebody's not happy in their marriage, they should just quit, walk away, give up?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying they should try to turn around and do what makes them happy. It takes two people in a marriage. So you both need to do something to turn it around and make sure y'all are both happy if y'all are not. We have couples, baby, come to us who wasn't happy. And what happened? When they worked with us, we helped them turn it around. And what did they say? They feel like now they're dating again. That's my boo again. You know who I'm talking about. They feel like they're in heavenly bliss again.
But babe, your spouse isn't supposed to be the person that makes you happy.
Right. So don't tell me that you just said that happiness doesn't matter. You just said happiness doesn't matter.
Okay, happiness with yourself does, but happiness with the marriage doesn't necessarily matter. Your marriage is not what's supposed to make you happy. Your spouse is not what's supposed to make you happy. God gives you that peace and gives you that joy. Like you should have that joy unspeakable no matter what, so that when you do go through trials and tribulations, you got God. You like Anita said, trust God. When you trust God, then you know that God is going to work it out. You know, God will give you a peace no matter what your spouse is saying or doing.
He will give you that peace.
Hold on, let me finish. You've been doing a whole lot of talking. Give me a chance. So what I'm saying though, you can be married and miserable, unhappy at something that your spouse is doing. But if you've got God in your life and you've got peace in your heart, you won't let that make you go to that mindset of divorce. It won't make you go to that mindset of my marriage isn't working out. It won't make you go to that mindset of I don't like my husband, or I'm going to walk away, or this is too much. No, you're going to stay in that marriage no matter what, because like Anita said, you're trusting God. You know that God got your back. So you don't walk away from your marriage because you're not happy in the marriage, but because if you're happy within yourself, you won't look at it that way. So that's why longevity matters, because you hung in there. You stuck around no matter what. I don't care what you say. Hang in there, stick around, trust God. Don't look to your mate for your happiness. Don't look for them to be perfect. Don't look for them to do, say, and think and do everything the way you want them to. But you stay in there. You stay in that marriage.
I hear you.
And Camille said, amen. and that's all I'm saying. There's that. Hang in there, because like you said earlier, babe, you never know when things will turn around. You never know when something might click. You never know when you might be in church and don't have a relationship with God, but you might be in church and the pastor may say something about marriage that may just be that thing to be like, oh my gosh, I've been doing it wrong for 25 years. Let me go home and apologize to my wife. Let me start doing something different. Look at how that man that came to our house, I ain't going to say what he was doing because somebody might figure out who he is, who came to our house to do some work or to talk to us about some work. And he said he'd been married 22 years and him and his wife been arguing for years. They don't get along and she's complaining. And when you asked him, you said to him, what would your wife say was the problem in your marriage? And so he was a talker. He finally got quiet and he thought about what you asked him. And his answer was profound. He told us what he said his wife would say. I can't remember it verbatim, but he said something like, she would say, you don't listen to me. You don't put our marriage first. You don't something. And then he said, and that's a lie from the pits of hell. And what did I immediately said to him, oh my gosh. You just completely discounted your wife. You just completely shut her down. You didn't even give her a chance. You don't even care about her thoughts, her opinions, her feelings. He's like, yes, I do. But then why would you just tell her what she said is not true? Her feelings are her feelings. What she says is what she's thinking, is how she feels, is what's inside of her. And do you know, ever since that conversation, we don't even know this man. He called us up to let us know that some of the things we said to him that day, he's been a different person. He's been listening to his wife. He's been paying attention. And he has had counseling with his pastor, and it didn't change his marriage. But something that we said that day clicked. So if you hang in there 22 years, 25 years, 40 years, something may click one day. And my thing is, I'm saying to couples, don't give up. Don't walk away. because it's not like how you think it was. Because I'm sure it wasn't always that way. What if you had a great, okay, honey, for your making your point, what if you did have a great marriage the first 5-10 years? Because you were still doing things together, having fun, enjoying one another, going on dates. But then year 20, all that stopped. That doesn't mean you should say, oh, I'm not happy anymore, I'm going to walk away from this marriage. No, find out how to be happy again. Find out what it takes to have a great marriage after being together 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. Don't walk away. That's my point. Don't
Okay,
walk
I
away.
understand.
Hang in there.
My phone is dying.
Oh my Lord. We've been on longer than normally, but we haven't stayed on this show for a whole hour in a very long time. But you guys, we want y'all to have a great marriage. That's just the key. This month has been, I'm sorry, tomorrow, Sunday, March 27th, is National Black Marriages Matter Day. We've been talking about Black love, Black marriage all month long. Read our blogs. Go to our website and read our blogs, or go to on our group, Marriage Built to Last Movement, and click on the link and read our blogs. We've been talking about Black marriages, Black love, how our marriages make a difference. It makes a difference if you stay together and you have kids. Right. Raise your kids together. And when they're gone and you realize that things just aren't the same anymore, you don't know your spouse, you don't see them the same way, it's because you've changed. You don't have the kids to focus on anymore. So talk about what you do need to focus about.
Then they can take the time and focus on each other.
On the two of you, yes. Focus on your future. Focus on your vision for where you want to see your marriage going for the rest of your marriage, for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Find out what you need to focus on. Get a vision for your future. Get a vision for your marriage. That's so key to do that. A 5-year vision, 10-year vision, a 20-year vision. James and I, we talk about what life will look like when we're really old. You know, what we want to do, how we'll enjoy life. I'm looking forward to sitting on a porch in a rocker and just chilling, you know, looking at the neighbors, waving at the neighbors, speaking to the neighbors. But we also still looking forward to traveling when we're 80. We still want to be able to get out and travel, do some things. We don't want to just sit at home and just be old people. So talk about those things once the kids are gone. Talk about those things once you're 60 years old, 50 years old, and you're different. Talk about how you're different. Figure it out, y'all. Don't just give up and walk away. I talked to a friend recently. Him and his wife just got a divorce last week after 22 years of marriage, being together much longer than that. And I'm like, why are we just talking now? He's like, yeah, I should have called you before. Yes. If you're one of my friends and you're struggling in your marriage, I promise you, I won't put your business in the street. Call me up. Let's talk about it. There's some simple, easy things you can do to turn your marriage around. There really is. Things that you personally, yourself, by yourself can do. You don't always have to bring both of y'all to the table. If you can, that's the best way to do it. But if it's just you and you want some advice and you're my friend, call me up. If you're not my friend, you're not our friend, and you're struggling in your marriage, whether you've been married 1 year or 40 years, call us up, y'all. Don't give up. We're here for you. So I was saying tomorrow is National Black Marriage Day. So we're going to be shouting out some couples tomorrow on National Black Marriage Day. We're going to be posting some pictures. If you want us to post your picture, send us your image. Send us a picture of you and your spouse. We prefer for you to go to www.inloveandlovingItimage.com. I post that in the group, in the comments. inloveandlovingItimage.com. And you can, from there, you can send us a picture of you and your spouse, in love and loving it image.com. You can send us a picture, but also both of your names, because sometimes people will send us a picture and just the wife sent it, but I don't know the husband's name. So it's better if you go through the link, because the link allows you to put in you and your husband's name and your picture. And we're going to give you a beautiful graphic. So we're going to be recognizing couples tomorrow, and then we're going to be recognizing couples all through the month of April, because it's Couple Appreciation Month and it's Couple Romance Month. And we appreciate you guys. We appreciate you for jumping on this show. We appreciate you for hanging in with your marriage. We appreciate you for helping other couples, mentor other couples, y'all. If you got a great marriage, mentor some couples. All they do, sometimes couples just need someone to talk to.
Right.
So thank you for jumping on. Don't forget, let me, do I have that on here?
All right, my phone is dying.
All right, so my husband's phone is dying. You guys remember, if you build it, it will last.
It will last.
God bless you guys. We'll see you next week. Send us your picture. We want to recognize you, and hang in there. Let us know if you need help. We're here for you. God bless you. Have a great night.